Yo, what up, what up, what up, what up? The boys OTR coming to you with our OTR Sports segment. This lovely Saturday morning, almost afternoon. I got the usuals here with me. To my left, I got Quan Battle. Unfortunately, he's a Washington football fan. I've got Mike. I got Mike over there, pretty boy Puerto Rico Mike. We used to call him.
Yeah, I am not Puerto Rican, so don't get the people watching thinking that. Shout out to my Puerto Rican brothers, though.
For sure. Puerto Rico. Anyway, then we got Alex. The our NBA insider. Check him. You can also check him out on Lakers Central, best Lakers show in the country right now. Holla at your boy. We are, of course, we got a shout out. We are powered by the Crossover Network. Mike, if you got that logo, go ahead, throw it up on the screen for the folks so they can see it.
Of course, man.
We are powered by Crossover Network. We're not asking for a seat at the table. We're building the table, baby.
Yo,
Anyway,
get some original content, yo. That's my intro. You stole my intro, bro.
Man, I texted you that before you even said it. Anyway, today we're gonna start off with some NBA news today. We'll get into the pick'em to end off the show, so make sure y'all tune in for that. But anyway, we're gonna start with the NBA today, and I guess I was asked to lead the show because it's gonna involve my beloved New York Knicks, who. Lord. Anyway, so Russell Westbrook is now the talk of the NBA, or at least he was this week. He is asked to be traded from the Houston Rockets. Apparently, he does not want to play with James Harden, and on the short list of teams that are anticipated to make a move for him if they haven't already are the New York Knicks.
Yeah. Before you go to his list of teams, I want to play this clip for y'all real quick.
Okay.
Check this out. Bear with me.
Telling you what I've heard. They don't want to play with each other anymore. Russell Westbrook doesn't want to play with James Harden. James Harden doesn't want to play with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook wants the ball in his hands. He doesn't want to play off the ball as much. He looks at his success in Oklahoma City over the previous several years. The ball needs to be in his hands. That's his mentality. The mentality of James Harden is that, all right, so be it, and so as a result of it, Houston is in turmoil. Houston, we have a problem because if you're the Houston Rockets as an organization, you have a decision to make. The reality is that you can move Russell Westbrook, which they undoubtedly will try to do. Make no mistake about it, because he's made it clear that he does not want to play with James Harden. It's not about wanting out of Houston. He doesn't want to play with James Harden, and inevitably that means that you probably want out of Houston because obviously.
It's a lot right there. It's a lot to digest.
So the interesting part in that clip, man, is it's what Stephen A is saying is he don't want to play with Harden, and it's one thing to not want to be in Houston because we all know there's turmoil within the front office and ownership and everything going on around there, but he's saying that he don't want to play with Harden,
right?
And if this is the case, doesn't that make Harden somewhat of doesn't it make him somewhat of a team or locker room killer? Because DH wanted out, Dwight Howard wanted out of there, Chris Paul wanted out of there, and now Russ. And they all went into Houston with, Harden's our boy, that's my boy, whatever. Now they went out. So I don't know. I thought that was the most interesting part about Stephen A's comments on this. I'm not surprised to hear that he wants out of Houston, but I was a little bit surprised to hear that he didn't want to play with James Harden anymore.
Well, I mean, couldn't you make the same argument with Russ? I mean, they were all together in OKC. First James Harden left, then it was just Russ and KD, and then Did he drive KD out of town?
Well, I mean, with Harden, we all know Harden was traded, right? So, and everybody felt like that was the dumbest move that OKC could have made at that time because they were right on the cusp of being a championship caliber team. I mean, they were right there.
They lost the finals the year before, so there was no reason to break that team up.
Yeah. So that was the understanding of why James left that team then. We know KD, you know, I think KD was there issue with him and KD? Is that part of the reason why KD left? Or was it on some LeBron shit? Like LeBron was like, yo, I did everything I could for the city of Cleveland. I know
after he left, it was a big thing. There was a big thing between, KD versus Russell Westbrook after that. That season after they were like, I don't know who started the friction, but there was friction there. I guess I to my point though is that you have two alphas on the court at the same time that need the ball in their hands. That usually don't work out, even if they're nice guys.
That's where I was hitting at when it even comes to this whole ordeal. One time, when they all played together in OKC, it was one thing. Throughout the years, they played together. They came in the NBA, but now they're to a point now where they're at the top of their game. They're at this particular level now, just like Brandon, just like you said. I mean, they're alphas. So, and when you're playing five players, starting five, you only really need one alpha, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Now you guys are, when it comes to the NBA, you guys are a lot more accurate when it comes to the topics and what you guys know. But I do know when it comes to being an alpha and when it comes to being on that team, it's going to be too hard. It's going to be too hard for them to coexist with each other.
You can have two alphas. I mean, Shaq and Kobe did it, ran off 3 in a row. Of course, Harden and Westbrook aren't Shaq and Kobe, but you can have two alphas. I'd even argue Steph Curry is an alpha, but he was willing to take a step to the side, not back, but to the side. So KD could also be an alpha on his team. So you can do it. The issue is that Russell Westbrook can't play off ball because he doesn't really have a jump shot. So off ball doesn't really make sense for him. And Harden is unwilling to change his game. So it's not going to work.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Ultimately you have two alphas, and let's be real, they're two ball hawks.
Harden can play off ball. He just refused. He just doesn't want to. But he could actually play off ball.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. So if he doesn't want to make that change, it's not going to work.
Well, at this point in their careers, I think Harden is higher on the food chain here. So it would have to be a Russell Westbrook who would alter his game to Harden if one had to defer to the other. I mean, ultimately, for it to work, you're both going to have to defer to each other in the long run at some points. But it doesn't go to say that Russ. I still think Russell is. I think he's still a very good NBA player. He would, depending on what we give up, he would make the Knicks better. But there's other things that come into play. Number one, how much better? I don't see us winning a championship with Russell Westbrook because again, he needs the ball, and we have young players. RJ Barrett, who you don't have to run plays for him, but how is their development being affected by a guy who comes in and he's got to be a dominant on the ball. So I'm hoping, for me, I would rather have Chris Paul. I think we need veteran leadership in New York. I would welcome Russell Westbrook, but I think more long term it would be you have to consider the development of our young players. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent.
Harden's a heck of a player. There's an interview that T-Mac and Kobe did a couple years ago talking about Harden and his style of play. And Kobe said, you're not going to win a championship playing the way that he plays. Now, you've got to drop 40 and 50-point games to make sure your team is competitive. But that, if anybody knows if that's going to win or not, it was Kobe, right? So James Harden has to make a decision. Do you want to adjust your game a little bit? Or do you just want to keep having 45, 50-win seasons, averaging 35 points a night, and get knocked out in the second round? Or because, look, they're never getting back to the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers are good again. The Clippers are good. Golden State is back. They're never going to see the Western Conference Finals. So, and even there's rumors that like the Nets are looking at Harden. Let's say the Nets somehow got James Harden. How the hell does James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant play together?
Yeah, not when somebody's not willing to defer. Now, even if KD, right, even if that was a move to slow walk KD back, you still got Kyrie who's ball dominant, and you still have Harden who's ball dominant. This move with Westbrook going to Houston in the first place, I didn't think was a good move. I didn't like the move in the first place. It was a sexy move. Everybody on paper, it looked great because you're looking at two perennial all-stars, two all-NBA players coming together. And then this whole, the whole thing with building super teams or two superstars joining forces, it fit that mold. But as far as on the court, it didn't work. It doesn't. I mean, it just didn't look good to me because they are both ball dominant players. Now, to Alex's point, it would make more sense for Harden to change his game because he's better off the ball. But then I also agree with you, Brandon, that if you're looking at making which player you're going to make happy, it's probably going to be Harden in this case because he's the most valuable player on your team, your best player, whatever you want to call it. So you get to a point in their careers where you have to realize, you look at LeBron, right? You look at the players like LeBron and then Kobe also later on in his career, you learn to ride the backs of other players, and then you take over games when you need to. And it doesn't seem like Harden or even Westbrook to that point is there mentally yet to do that. So I don't know, man. I just never thought that it would work out in the first place. I didn't think that it would be only a year until I thought that the front office would be the reason to break up this team, not because the two of them don't want to play with each other anymore.
But it's not just that they don't want to play together. It is they had questions about the direction of the team when Daryl Morey was let go and then D'Antoni was let go, and then you bring in a rookie head coach, and that rookie, Steven Silas is already saying we're going to change our style of play to be less predictable. Well, basically that's a shot at Harden, right? His ball at the top of the key, dribble, step back three. That's a direct shot at Harden. That tells me that Steven Silas is saying Harden needs to change his game. Yeah. So it's not surprising that they're upset. But also, like, maybe Houston needs to be more realistic with their expectations. And maybe also part of the problem is you're not going to win when nobody on your roster is taller than 6'5". Like, maybe that's also part of the problem.
Yeah. And he said something about
PJ Tucker wants out. Did y'all see that?
Yeah. He want more money, or he went out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Ariza left because he had issues with them.
So PJ Tucker allowed them to play a small lineup. Where the tallest player out there is 6'5", because he's hard to move in the paint. What is he, like 6'4", 6'5"? Mm-hmm. He's still hard to move. But go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Brandon,
what's up, Dwayne? What's up, Dwayne?
Yeah, pretty Ricky. What up, Dwayne? Before we move on and continue with this Westbrook thing, there's a question for you as a former basketball player. Are you looking at yeah? So from our brother Leon, says Brandon, as someone who played organized basketball, would you like playing with the ball dominant player? That's a good question.
If he was nice, if he getting buckets, I was a team player. Like, look, I was getting yelled at in the stands by family, friends, anybody who came to my games. Always yelling at me to shoot, man, shoot the ball, and I was always passing because coach told me I was a point guard. I had no problems sharing the rock as long as we was getting W's and as long as he getting buckets. I'll feed him the rock. Shit, I'll shoot my threes.
Yeah. I always used to say, that's where the Westbrook and the Harden need to come out. Just shoot the ball. I was one of them. I used to tell you, like, shoot the ball. Who cares what he says?
My guy Dre Day, Sportsway with Dre Day. We gotta get Dre on here, man. He got a good sports podcast as well.
For sure.
Peace.
Now to continue, man. Even after, and this was actually after Stephen A. made those comments, Westbrook came out and he said this. Oh, sorry, that's what that's what Stephen A. said. That's what Stephen A. said. This is what Russell said. That it's a complete fabrication. Y'all, it's completely fabricated. Y'all have a good night.
Well, when it comes to Stephen A. Smith, he's not the most reliable source. Like he's a big name, but he's no longer a beat reporter. He is not reliable when it comes to these things. So he's not the person I would be listening to as a casual NBA fan.
Yeah. His sources come into question sometimes. I do think that he had some inside connects in the game, but then he said a lot of things that has not come true.
But one of them they're getting traded. One of them are definitely getting traded. It's just that Stephen A. I don't trust.
So that's what I'm mean.
He's more performative than informational. So
my thing to this is, with all this money, with all them, pretty much playing basketball, they've known each other for 10 plus years. You don't think maybe they actually sat down? If they're isn't some of this, could this be a little bit fabricated? You know what I mean? Like they actually were able to sit to the table and be like, look, maybe this isn't working out the best when it comes to a team thing. Like maybe I just need to go somewhere else. You stay somewhere in Houston. And, at the end of the day, we all can get everything we need to get accomplished.
Right. Westbrook and Harden don't dislike each other. This isn't a KD Westbrook thing or Chris Paul Harden thing. They're actually really good friends. So they probably sat down and was like, yo, this isn't working. Maybe I need to go my own way. And they probably were cool with that. And then it kind of leaked. And then the media starts to like, well, they hate each other and all these things. That's not what's going on.
Yeah,
That's not happening.
Yeah, and it could be the other way. You never know. I think a lot of these guys had that prima donna attitude, and like I stated before, if that is the case, it's just interesting how you have 3 players who have reportedly wanted out from playing with Harden. So it could be some legs to that. I just feel like this is a little different. That's why I was surprised when Stephen A. reported that they don't want to play with each other. I'm more so inclined to believe what you said, Alex and Quan, that it was just like, yo, they got together and they like, hey, man, hey, bro, this ain't working, man. Look, let's go. Let me do my thing. And it could be this ain't working because they both agree that the organization is in flux right now.
It's a sinking ship. It's a sinking ship.
So they it could be a mutual feeling that. Now I know Harden. I know there was a report that Harden came out and said he's locked in and he wants to be in Houston. So
that's just for good PR.
If I'm Harden, I'm not going anywhere. Why? No, I'm not going anywhere. I understand of having to switch up my game, but if I'm locked in and I got that max deal and I'm in Houston, I'm not moving. I'm sorry.
He can get that max deal anyway. Harden want to win some chips now.
Yeah,
but he ain't winning. He ain't winning in Houston. Not with this team.
It's funny. Like all the criticisms on these player style. Like LeBron gets criticized for being the player that now we want Harden to be. It's like late in games, people criticize, oh, LeBron didn't take the shot. He's not aggressive enough. Here you have a clear superstar, top 3 player in the NBA, 5, whatever, probably the best scorer in the NBA. And now, he doesn't pass enough. It's like, I just find it funny. Like, you can't win. You can't win either way. Like, if you're a good player.
That's what I mean when it comes to his case. I can kind of, if that's how he feels, I understand. I'm not going anywhere.
But for someone like, look, you have to build a good team around your superstar, right? And then the real question is, does anybody trust Houston to build a team around James Harden moving forward that's going to maximize his talents?
Right.
And usually to be a contender, you got to go into the luxury tax. And Tim Fertitta clearly does not want to spend the money to be in the luxury tax. So I don't see how Houston's just not – they might not make the playoffs next year. I said it.
I said that.
We don't even know what their roster going to look like right now.
And I firmly believe what Russell Westbrook's going to end up in either New York as a Knick or Charlotte as a Hornet. He's already on Jordan brand. Jordan loves Westbrook. They've got the cap space to eat his contract.
Hold that thought, Smalls. Hold that thought, because that's where I was going next with it. So, of course, when there's rumors of somebody wanting to be out of town, then you start hearing rumors of where they might end up. Now, I will say we were ahead of the game because last week we did a whole segment on NBA rumors and places where people can end up, and then next week, what do we hear? People ending up places. So this is just a few because last week I did 100 of them. But this is just a few that was reported, possibly trade destinations reported by Bleacher Report. So here's one. This is the Knicks, and this is what I want to get your opinion on, Brandon, being a Knicks fan. They say,
wait. This is a rumor.
No. Well, this is a possible destination for Westbrook, and this is what they feel. Bleacher Report, who's credible. Okay.
I was basically asking, did this just happen?
No.
Okay.
This is just this is just their ideas.
Scenario. Okay, go ahead.
Of good places for him. So it says the Knicks will receive Westbrook. The Rockets will receive Wayne Ellington, Bobby Portis, Frank
Ntilikina,
Kevin Knox, and I think that was 2 2021 second round picks. Being a Knicks fan, how quick or hesitant are you in making this move?
Oh, I'm pulling the trigger on this shit. I'm pulling, and I on that I'm pulling the trigger. Like, that's all, because to me that's always like I can't see. I mean, you cut off here with the NBA news ticker we got, so it says Kevin Knox and second round picks.
Let me move. Oh. I think it is.
No, it's fine. It's as long as it says Kevin Knox in second round. Okay, there we go. Knox and
in 1 second round pick.
Yeah. Peace. I like Frank Ntilikina, but I mean, offensively, he's just. I don't even want to say he's inconsistent. He hasn't even been consistent enough to say he's inconsistent. Yeah, but defensively, I think he's good. I mean, Kevin Knox, I like Kevin Knox. I thought after his rookie season, I thought he had a chance to be a 20-point scorer. We used to have arguments about it. He was already averaging 14, 15 a game. But, I mean, defensively, he just looks lost. So he's not going to get on the floor enough to score 20 points. Bobby Portis, I like him. He's a New York guy. I wish we could keep him. But if it means bringing in Russ, hey, man, it was nice having you here. And I like Bobby Portis. I like those players, but all of those guys are role players. Mm-hmm. I like them, but they fit specific roles. Russ comes in, he's automatically a two-way player, as I mentioned before. RJ, you don't need to run no plays for him. Mm-hmm. And he's still gonna get buckets and do whatever he does. You got Mitch Robinson. I like it. I would do it.
What you think about that proposed deal, Holla?
I mean, I think if you're Houston, you got to get at least a first round pick back, right? I mean, Russ is still he averaged 27, 7, and 7. Like, I mean, come on. I know his contract is an albatross, but like, he ain't whack. Like, we've gotten to the point where we're underrating players, and he's still at worst he's third team All NBA at worst at this point in his career. So, but if the Knicks can do it, you get a guy that will probably fill up. Madison Square Garden still sells out, but you get a guy that's going to get people excited. It's all about expectations. If the expectations is he's going to get them to the Eastern Conference Finals, well, then that's ridiculous. But I think the Knicks with Westbrook should be a playoff team. I'm saying. All right. I mean, they should be a playoff team.
Outside of Miami, I ain't scared of nobody.
That proposed deal, if I'm the Knicks, I would have did that last week. You pull that right away. It's no more question. We don't talk about that. I agree with you, Holla. If I'm Houston, like, bro, you gotta throw me a number one at least.
If Houston takes that deal, that tells me that all they're trying to do is shed salary. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. And if you're not gonna throw me a number one pick, then you can take one of them dudes back, Kevin Knox or whatever, and I need Mitch Robinson. I know, Brandon, you don't want to hear that, but I'm just saying, if I'm Houston, I listen. I need a little more than that. But if I'm the Knicks, I'm taking it.
You want Mitch? You go Russ is. I was about to say, if you want Mitch, you're gonna have to send me a superstar. I mean, Russ. I'm not saying Russ ain't like, but like, no.
So if Mitch Robinson was included in that deal, you would say no.
No go.
Wow.
No. If Mitch or RJ is included in that deal, nah, I'm not doing it.
Okay.
Not for Russ. Now you want Mitch? I want Harden. We go now. You keep Russ. Now we talking about Harden. You add Mitch to the deal. Okay. For me.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking at it this way. Mitch is a good talent. I would trade him for Russ because I feel like Russ would the Knicks have some money. I feel like Russ would draw some other players to come in town to play with them. So I don't know, but I feel you. Quan, what you feel about this deal, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. You know, you still getting a top 3, top 5 point guard. You know, I mean, yeah, it's going to be expensive, but I mean, the Knicks can do it. They'll get the cap space, or they have the cap space to handle it. I mean, you're getting, and just like, you know, I would say, well, from Houston perspective of it, they get that money off the books, and I mean, they should retrieve a number one. Ultimately,
I'm looking at, he averaged 27, 8, and 7 last year. Like, and like people acting like he's whack.
He's not whack. That's what I'm saying.
He's not whack. He is not whack.
Even, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep going back on, but even when we talking about the whole thing with Westbrook, like, not us, but there's people are talking about it in the sense of like Westbrook is like, he's like at the bottom of the barrel. He's like in the middle. Like, he's a top 3, top 5 player. You know what I'm saying? Like, he still has, you know, he still has great legs. You know what I'm saying? He can still play. He can still ball. I mean, I don't.
The question is this. The question is this: in 3 years, okay, what at the end of these 3 years, like, what's the risk reward here?
So now, Russ is. Let me say this real quick.
I'll put it like this.
Let me say this real quick before you continue, Quan. Russ just turned 32 yesterday, so 3 years he'll be 35 years old. So keep that in mind. Go ahead, Quan.
Okay. So you don't feel as if the Knicks get Westbrook, that at least puts them in the top ranking in the East. Just like you just said, though, you're not scared of anybody but Miami. You don't have issue with anybody but Miami. So you get Westbrook.
When you talk about,
because Giannis is still in the East.
When you're talking about, well, true. Okay, Giannis. But I mean, no, those are two. The East is. I mean, there are good teams. Like, okay, Boston is a good team. Philly is a good team. But when you're talking about like championship, like, I mean, outside of like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not afraid of them. Now, if we get Westbrook and we give up Mitch and we get some veterans, yeah, I think we're in the top 4 in the East, in my opinion. But at the end of that 3 years, okay, because you go Westbrook, now we're not talking about development of young players. You're gonna have to do that in parallel now.
Yeah.
with
bringing
in veterans. Okay. You don't win a championship at the end of 3 years, you ain't got shit.
Okay, so can I just say, I'm just being the advocate, right? New York has some time to even think about championship caliber or even competing for championships, right? So I'm sorry, but I'm just saying that when it comes to that position, like, you still have to look at it in the sense of being able to get to some type of playoff position. Like, you gotta rebuild. Y'all in a rebuilding stage. So when you're in a rebuilding stage, no one's even thinking about championship. So you get Westbrook, that still puts you in a position within 3 to 5 years, whatever, that can even catapult y'all to even being a contender in the playoffs. Okay, then you somewhat get some players, whatever. You build around.
You somewhat get some. Quan, here's. I've been a Knicks fan for a very long time, brother. Like, that's not if at the end of 3 years, Westbrook isn't going to catapult us anywhere. because you bring in Westbrook, you're bringing in other veterans too. And other veterans aren't signing 4 or 5 year deals. They're not doing that shit. When Westbrook is gone, my ass is gone. So when 3 years is up, if you have not won a championship, if you have not competed in the Eastern Conference Finals, you are sacrificing because Mitch Robinson and RJ Barrett are still ascending players. Westbrook averaged 27, 8, and whatever. He's not ascending though. So at the end of 3 years, if I'm not in the Eastern Conference Finals every year, at least, we're gonna take finals off the table.
Yeah.
Then I've wasted that time, because now at the end of that 3 years, bring in some players. We've been trying to bring in some players for 25 years, man.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So, like, if y'all been trying to bring those players for 25 years,
we've got some now. They're young.
Yeah,
they're the youngest players in the league.
Okay,
and they're good.
Well, let me. Here's what the New York Post is saying, because Bleacher Report can be a little clickbaitish. Well, more than a little. Let me tell you what the New York Post is saying. They're saying that if there is a deal to be had, it would include Julius Randle, Dennis Smith Jr., and one of Dallas's future first-round picks that the Knicks have. I mean, if that's why I say you got to get it first if you're Houston. If it's Julius Randle, Dennis Smith, and a future first, I think you do that deal.
Yeah. If I get to keep RJ and Mitch, I would, because right there, and I'm making some assumptions here. I mentioned that they are ascending young players, and I expect them to do. There's nothing that has indicated that they're going to regress. Mm-hmm. You pair them with Russ, who, like I said, ball dominant. RJ doesn't. You don't need to run plays for him, and Mitch, you don't need to run plays for him. Russell Westbrook could do, pick and roll and dish off to the big man. He's not a bad passer, as you mentioned. He averaged 7 assists a game, so he'll pass the rock. He just got to have a ball in his hands all the time. That fits what we have.
Okay, so
that fits what we have.
Okay, so that fits what you have, right? All right. And if you are, and I'm not trying to sound like this, but like if the team isn't ascending anywhere, they haven't ascended and gone anywhere within these past 10 years, would it hurt to have a player like that?
So you saying what do you have to lose at this point?
That's all I'm saying.
I'm making this deal.
Yeah,
because that's what we've been doing for 20 years. What do we have to lose? Yeah, so we sign these veterans who, if they're not in twilight in their career, they're on the down. Like Russell Westbrook, this is Russell Westbrook. He's not going to develop into another player in the NBA.
Okay, so he's not top 5. I mean, he's still not top.
He can compete with the top 5 players in the NBA, but he is not a top 5 player.
I comfortably say he's top 20 player in the NBA. He ain't top 5 player in the NBA.
I would not say top. Not more.
Okay, top 10. I give top 20. Top 20.
I think he's top 20.
Quan, I would teenagers. So these guys are getting better. I don't want to sacrifice that.
I think listen, with RJ, with Mitch, and the young talent that the Knicks have, I think they would be a playoff team in the East. I mean, when KD first left OKC, the cupboard looked awfully bare with what Russ was left with, and he made moves with that team. They were in the Western Conference. They made the playoffs there. So I think that he could do something with that young talent and make them into a playoff bound team. I also think that in the end of these 3 years that we keep talking about, that Russ could leave them in a better spot than they are now, which means that RJ will be better, Mitch will be better, and then in that time, whatever young talent you've gotten since then,
whoever they draft this year,
will be better, and then therefore it will make the Knicks. It will bring the Knicks back to being a great destination for free agents who realize this team is right there because they got this good young talent. And let me go join them and let's see what we can do. So that's how I feel about it. I got to jump in and move on, or else we'll keep going.
Yeah.
Bleacher Report, the next one. They got Russ going to the Clippers. So it's the Clippers receiving Russell Westbrook in the 2021 second-round pick. The Rockets receiving Pat Beverly, Lou Williams, Ivic Zubac, Rodney Magruder, and I don't even know who that last dude is, but yeah. So he
Acanelli.
he's clearly a thrower. So
No, that was ignorant. I apologize to whoever that is. Sorry, brother.
Yeah, but I'm not apologizing. He's a throw-in, clearly. But there has been talks of Russ going to the Clippers. Now, Bleacher Report is reporting that. I've heard that it has been talks of Paul George in exchange for Russell Westbrook. So quickly, with the three of y'all, how do you feel? How do you think, assuming that it's Paul George? Let's just assume that it's Paul George, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think Westbrook and Kawhi would work together? Would that mesh? Because I mean, Kawhi can be ball dominant, but he's not necessarily ball dominant. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I guess he is a ball dominant player, but he just doesn't seem like the Hawk type of ball dominant. It seems like Kawhi is ball dominant when they need a bucket or they need a play, and then he takes over. So, would Westbrook fit with this team?
Westbrook makes them worse. All right. Not only do you need to think of team chemistry, look what happened to the Clippers this year, right? So maybe you keep that team together and next year they're even better because they're better playing with each other. You bring in Westbrook and you swap out Paul George. Now all of a sudden the team has to learn all over again how to play together. And in my opinion, Paul George is a better fit with Kawhi than Westbrook is with Kawhi. Frankly, make the trade. Makes it easier for my Lakers. So
Yeah, I think I will agree with you, and I think Paul George is a better fit. I do, but I don't know what you think, Brandon.
I thought it was a better deal for Houston myself. You're getting Harden a lot of pieces there. I mean, you had Lou Williams in that. I think what Houston was trying to accomplish, even when they brought in Chris Paul, they needed somebody who could handle they needed it to be able to sit James Harden down and rest him, and the offense still score. That's why they brought in Chris Paul. That didn't work out. That's why they brought in Westbrook and was probably hoping that, okay, we got a younger guy in here, whatever, superstar status. He can play that role. But again, Chris Paul was a team player. and Russell Westbrook wasn't. You bring in a guy like Lou Williams, who he's still a team player. Like, he need the ball in his hands, but like he can play off ball too. You know what I'm saying? And I think having those type of players in the game when Harden sits down, those type of role players, I think that would help Houston out tremendously. As far as the Clippers are concerned, I think they're still a formidable opponent, but I might side with Hollow on this one. I don't know if it makes them better. If you lose a lot in this deal if you're the Clippers.
If they did this deal, that tells me how the lack of confidence in their existing team. That's what that tells me.
Yeah, I don't think Clippers have to make any moves. They just got to get better.
Before they can even talk about the Lakers, then that tells me they're also scared of Denver, who they got their asses whipped by this past season. And they're probably scared of Golden State. Like, you don't. This is such a huge overhaul of your roster year over year, and in a shortened off season. Yeah. You don't do that. If they do that, we're walking right back to the finals.
Well, you might not be walking, but walking. Cora, what do you feel about this deal?
I mean,
how do you feel about Westbrook? How do you feel about Westbrook's fit with Kawhi and the Clippers?
I looked at it from a perspective of how Kawhi plays, and I guess seeing his personality, I'm assuming it seems like he's more so laid back. Like, he's not the type of ball player that is chippy.
He doesn't have a tongue.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he doesn't have a tongue or whatever, or he doesn't, speak or whatever. I don't know. I mean, he still does, and he still drops buckets. But just like we said before, like, I mean, Westbrook he's a ball hawk. He wants to score, and I mean, he's going to score at will. So, does that in some way take away from the team chemistry? And if that's the case, then it may not be a good look. it may not be a good look.
So let me play a little bit of devil's advocate then with this, because that's what I do on our shows. Kawhi likes to take a lot of time off. They give Kawhi a lot of DNPs because he's always got these lingering injuries or whatever's going on with him. So from that standpoint, wouldn't Russ fit that team based off of giving Kawhi that extra rest, or giving Kawhi that scorer or that player that has the ability to take over a game, and him being able to sit back, a la LeBron James, like, yo, you got it, but then when I need to, I'm going to take this shit over.
But we're also talking like Paul George can't take games over. Paul George is a top 15 player also, maybe better than that. Like, it just, you're changing the construction of your team when you go from a Paul George to Russell Westbrook. Not saying one's better than others, just the way your team is made up. So
yeah, I mean,
why do you do that?
The tempo of it. The tempo may be because, like, like you said, he Westbrook is, he's going for the rack. He's going to the rack consistently. You know what I mean? And I could definitely see that switching up the whole tempo and everything and how they play. So you want to break that up? You want to mess that up? You willing to mess that up?
I don't know. I feel y'all. I had to
come from the West.
Listen, Steve Ballmer, he owns the team. He's the wealthiest owner in North American sports. I could see him screwing this up. I mean, he is the reason we got Windows Vista. So, I mean, I could see how this would end up screwing things up.
All right, well, I got one more from Bleacher Report that they are, rumoring. The Pistons receiving Russ Westbrook in a 2020 second round pick for Blake Griffin. That's a name That's a name we haven't heard in a while. So, what do you guys think about this potential deal? How does Blake fit with a? I think Blake would fit with a Harden, even though Blake is kind of a ball dominant player, even at his position. So what do you guys think about this deal? Starting with you, Brandon.
If I'm the Pistons, I'm happy. I'm happy. I think Russ would do great in Detroit. Like, his whole kind of like personality and that fan base. I think that's a great fit for the Pistons. For the Rockets, listen, I'm an NBA fan and I like Blake Griffin, but I wouldn't want him, yo. He's never healthy, yo. From his rookie season to now, he's like has never been healthy. So I don't even think it's worth spending however many minutes talking about chemistry. He ain't gonna be out there.
I agree with that. I was going to honestly say, man, look, no disrespect to him. He was great at Oklahoma when he played in college. He was great when he first jumped into the league, but it's also a reason why you don't really hear that much from Blake Griffin anymore. It's a reason why. And look, he used to have the bounce, but now, he used to have bionic knees, but now he has creaky knees. So I don't know if I want that. But, if I want a point guard that's going to, that's going to score some points and that's going to uplift some things, then I'll take Westbrook. I'll take him for 3 years.
What about you, Alex? What you think about a potential Westbrook to the Pistons for quite possibly Blake Griffin?
I mean, I agree with Brandon. I think Russell's personality fits Detroit perfectly. I think if you're Detroit, if you bring in Westbrook, that just keeps you out of middle of the road team. Maybe you make the 8th seed. Maybe you're you're in that purgatory area where you're too good to get a great draft pick and too whack to make it to the finals. So I don't know if that's where. I mean, that might be Detroit. So maybe it works. Blake Griffin's over 6'9". Houston doesn't want anybody over 6'5". So it's I don't see
this happening. So as it was stated that's a few places that Bleacher Report felt Russ would fit. Holla, as our NBA insider, I know you've heard of some other places and potential landing spots for Russ. What are you hearing? What are you hearing that Russ might end? Where Russ might end up?
Like I said earlier, I think Charlotte is a legit option. Aside from that, there's only 5 teams that have cap space. Like Atlanta has cap space, but you wouldn't bring in Russell Westbrook to play next to Trae Young, right? Like you don't do that. The team, the Knicks have cap space. We mentioned them. I think Charlotte's a legit chance. Outside of that, I think everything else is just hearsay. I don't. But I do think he gets traded. I think he gets traded by December 1st. So. Mike, you frozen?
Mike must have either that or he's
moving
sleep.
right along.
Yeah, I hope. I think Westbrook and Charlotte would be a good fit too. I think Westbrook would be. He's good for like smaller market teams. Like, I think that's why he worked out so well, like Oklahoma City. When you talk about a person, he's an alpha. He's got to have the ball in his hands, and he kind of feeds off, he feeds off the energy around him. I mean, everybody does, but like you, you can really see it. Like those small market teams, they'll get behind him real quick. He'll do well, but like Hala said, it puts you in a predicament. You have to get the right pieces very quickly, otherwise. And that's what I was saying. That was really what I was alluding to. With the Knicks, if we had to give up Mitch or RJ, I think that puts us having Westbrook then puts us smack dab in that zone.
Good point, fellas. So let's move on real quick. And I know, Alex, you could probably speak on this a little bit more, but there was another potential trade that's been talked about in these NBA streets. There's been talks that the Lakers have interest in DeMar DeRozan. Hal, I know you heard some things within the Laker community. I don't know how much you could share, but if this is true, would you take this deal?
Yep, all day long. And I like Kyle Kuzma. I think he's got a fabulous career ahead of him. I like Danny Green. He's streaky, but everyone's looking at DeMar DeRozan like, well, he doesn't shoot threes. You need to spread the floor for LeBron. I mean, that's a fair argument, but someone like DeRozan is excellent out of the pick and roll, right? Like I think he's in like the 94th percentile of scores out of the pick and roll. Put him next to Anthony Davis in the pick and roll and see how teams have to defend that, right? Mm-hmm. Like he'd also be a third scoring option for the Lakers when LeBron actually goes to the bench. Because what happens with the Lakers right now is they always have either LeBron or Anthony Davis on the floor at all times. But when LeBron goes to the bench, it's easier for teams to double team and triple Anthony Davis. You bring a third guy that can actually give you 18 to 22 a game. That changes things for that for the second unit. So I think you do it all day. You do it, and if anybody can make it work, LeBron James can make it work. Like I'm not going to doubt that, man. So. You do it.
So let me ask you this, and I meant to look this up, but I didn't, and I didn't see much about it when this rumor came out. What is his salary like, and where will it put you guys in the salary situation? Does he have a max contract already?
Yes, he's got a max deal under the previous CBA, but he's making $27 million. He's got 1 year left. So for the Lakers, it does a couple different things. One, he's only got 1 year on his deal. So if the shit doesn't work, he's out next season.
Right.
At the same time, now you move $27 million off your books when Giannis is a free agent. And not that I think that Giannis will come to the Lakers, but I'm just saying if you're looking for the guy to pair with Anthony Davis post LeBron, now all of a sudden cap space opens up. Like, and then maybe DeMar comes this year and it works. And then he's in the twilight of his career moving forward, and he takes a quote-unquote discount going forward. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, to me, it isn't like with Westbrook where there's 2 or 3 years left on his deal. If this shit doesn't work, you move him. But I think it would actually work because they could use a third scorer. Kuzma's supposed to be that guy, but I don't know if that happens. And I don't know if we'll get into this, but if Serge Ibaka signs to the Lakers, like a lot of signs are pointing, Ibaka starting at the 5, he stretches the floor. He'd be a great great on the front line with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And now you've got DeRozan coming off the bench, because I think he comes off the bench. He doesn't start. You bring him off the bench, but he still plays 30-plus minutes a night. I do it, but I'm not Rob Pelinka. So,
Brandon, what you think about that potential deal? Kuzma, I know you like Kuzma a little bit. You were riding for Danny Green when I was kind of hard on him during the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about that deal?
Well, I'm gonna err on the side of Holly. He probably watched the league a little bit more than I do, but I could definitely see DeRozan coming in that second. I think the way it would have to happen is, when DeRozan's in the game, he becomes, if he's not in there with LeBron, obviously he becomes the primary option, I think. And then you might have, if they have Ibaka or they have Davis, I think those are the guys. I mean, he's still gonna give AD the ball down and down on the block. But if you've got DeMar DeRozan, like you said, running that pick and roll with AD, and even just on the wing, ISO, he's able to get to the rack pretty much at will. And you surround them with shooters. I mean, you got bigs that can shoot. I could see it. I could see it working. And like you said, like, LeBron's that type of player. He is that player that can play with anybody in the league. he can do whatever. I mean, he's if not the smartest player in the league, one of the smartest players in the league, and one of the most talented. He could switch his game up to whatever he needed it to be. So I think it would work.
And you
Quan, what you think, man?
Well, hold on, Quan.
Go ahead,
you moved Danny Green because KCP completely outplayed him this past season on both sides of the ball. And KCP, you have his contract is up. He's signed to Clutch Sports, so you need to keep Rich Paul happy. He's up for, I believe, his previous contract was $8 million. I think he's up for either 12 to 15 this year. Danny makes 15. You're not going to pay both of them at this point, so you've got to make space.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think KCP earned that spot. Danny Green, he earned the spot that Jared Dudley was holding, of course, at a much lower salary. But I was not. Danny Green wasn't hitting the side of a barn to me in the playoffs. So
I still like him.
Go ahead, Quan. I mean, I think he had the place on the team.
He would be great. He'd be great in Brooklyn. Danny Green next to Kyrie would be great.
But go ahead, Quan. What do you think about DeMar DeRozan possibly joining LeBron and AD in LA?
I mean, I don't.
He a Cali boy, so
he from Compton, I believe.
Yeah.
Anybody from Compton, I'm rocking with. So for anybody. So I mean, you get a young stud in DeRozan. Of course, you want more 3-point play, but you still get a guy who comes in and it gives LeBron some time to kind of rest. And even when he's in, I mean, you still get a 1-2 punch. I like Kuzma. I really do. I've always been a big Kuzma fan. I mean, wherever he goes, I think he'll be fine. Danny Green, I think he's always been a role player, particularly even when it comes to those, those championship games or those playoff perennial games. You want a player like him that can come in and that can shoot that tray, and that can get them big name shots. Now, granted, he didn't do that in the bubble this year, but he has a pretty good resume of making tough shots in clutch games. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, you get a good stud in DeRozan, and LeBron can. I think LeBron can play. I mean, which it's shown he can play pretty much with almost anybody, and win championships. So, I mean, go for it.
DeRozan averaged 22, 5, and 5 last year. He only takes about 15 shots a game. Like, he was on the Up and Smoke podcast, and when they asked him about this, he seemed to be genuinely interested. If the Lakers wanted to make a trade for him, he talked about Kobe being his Jordan, being from LA, being humbled if a championship team wanted him to play for them. Like, I think there's some smoke to this too. Whether it happens, I don't know, but I think there's some smoke to it.
Yeah, and I mean, also, DeRozan wasn't. I don't think he was like gung ho about being in San Antonio.
Would you be?
No, but he really he really so I mean I think that may have affected his numbers a little bit. But Holla, go ahead and spew off a couple things quickly of what you hearing in the NBA Twitterverse or rumorverse or whatever, what's going on with some of these possible landing spots.
I mean, I right now things are quiet, but the draft is on the 18th and free agency starts on the 20th. So shit's going to get crazy next week. But there's a lot of smoke with Ben Simmons to either Golden State or Houston. So a lot of people believe that the turmoil you're hearing out of Houston is basically being caused by Morey behind the scenes trying to get Harden into Philadelphia. And then there's some talks that Golden State might actually try and flip their pick for Simmons. So, next week is when we'll really know what's going on.
And Simmons to Golden State is very, very interesting. And I could see that working because you don't need him to shoot because you got shooters there already. So he could be him and still have size and add more size to that team and on the floor. So that would be a really, really interesting trade if that was to happen.
I think you're gonna see teams. Well, you've already started to see them go towards smaller lineups, as Holla alluded to earlier. Houston don't want nobody over 6'5". A lot of teams are they doing that.
Yeah. Well, that was the NBA news, guys. But I wanted to touch on something that I think is important. And as for men, I think it's definitely important that we touch on this and we mention this. So, man, the Marlins made history, man. They actually hired, if I can pull up her picture, Kim Ng, who is now the first female GM in all of sports, but of course, in the major league. And I think this was a bold move for them. It's well overdue. I seen an interview with her, and she was talking about how one of the questions asked was, is Major League ready for this? And she's like, I don't understand why they wouldn't be. You have women in power positions all over the world, so why not? So quickly, guys, what do you guys have to say? What do you feel about this? What do you guys think about this? We're gonna start with you, Brandon.
I think it's awesome and probably about time. I mean, it's no secret. Women have kind of been on the outskirts of men professional sports in positions where they could probably fill in better than a lot of the men that have held those positions. GM doesn't require her to go out there and physically play with the players on the field. She just has to make the right decisions. And hey, I'd like to see folks who are the best candidate for whatever job, male or female. I'd like to see them get the position. Congratulations to her. And we'll see more women getting into men's professional sports in different roles. It's an exciting time.
Quan, what do you think, man? This is big news. This is obviously history. She's not only the first female, but she's also the first Asian American GM in Major League Baseball. So, what do you think about this, Quan? Man, this is big.
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity that she's about to embark on, and she's made history. Congratulations to Miss Kim Ng, man. That's great. That's great. It's been long overdue, and there's no doubt in my mind that she hasn't worked hard to prepare herself for this position. And only time will tell to see how great she will. But she's representing for all women, and as being the first Asian American, that's just crushed all different type of thresholds. So, for young women and for pretty much for people to go out and achieve their dreams. And so, yeah, man, congratulations to Miss Kim Ng, man. It's a great accomplishment.
Alex, what do you think about this move, man?
let me give you her background, because I think this is great that she's finally got this opportunity. From 1990 to 96, she was an assistant director of baseball operations for the White Sox. She was assistant general manager for the Yankees from 98 to 2001 and the Dodgers from 2002 to 2011. Now she's the Marlins general manager. So her background is clearly impeccable. She's won 3 World Series, 98, 99, and 2000. Like, having a penis should not be a resume builder, but apparently in most sports it is. So her background, to me, White Sox, the Yankees, the Dodgers, congrats to her, because I think she's going to be great.
Yeah, she's been clearly been a part of some story franchises. Those aren't franchises that obviously they don't take winning lightly. So to be able to have those type of positions and power positions within those type of organizations has to say a lot about who you are and your knowledge of the game. So, of course, man, shout out to Kim Ang, first female GM in all of sports. I think this is just the start. This is just the beginning of these type of moves. I think we will see. I think the NBA, who's also pretty proactive with things like this, I think we will see a female head coach in the NBA. We are starting. We did. And shout out to the NFL. I know Alex don't really give it two craps about the NFL, but they did start with female assistant coaches. The NBA did too, with Becky Hammond and those types. So I think this is just the beginning, man. It's way too long, way too late, but it's here now. So shout out to them and shout out to the Marlins for making this move. I wish I had the applause button on here, but I do not. So that's our NBA news. That's a little MLB news. We're gonna get into the NFL. We're gonna get into our pick'em, but I do have, as I always do, a surprise for the people and for the cast. As you two know, Quan and Brandon,
here we go.
There was a game that played last week between the New York Giants and the Washington Football Club. Now, Brandon, you could probably take this as a shot, kind of, but my intentions weren't to be as a shot with this. But I know Quan has his fair share of jokes about Danny Dimes, so I thought that this would be interesting to post because, of course, this leads us into the world famous or soon to be famous Quan versus Brandon, because their teams played last week and we finally recorded following that. So we're gonna let these dudes duke it out for a second.
Oh my God,
Quan, Danny Dimes, man. Danny Dimes has won 5 games since being named the starter, and 4 of those are against your team, bro.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that, Quan? What do you have to say about that? I know you're pretty hard on Danny Dimes. Mm-hmm. Does that change your perspective of him because 4 of his 5 wins are against your team?
Yeah. No. So overall, my perspective, and I'm going to be honest on this, and I give credit. I always give credit where credit's due. I don't. Hold
on, Quan. Go ahead. There you go. Solo layout.
Okay, I don't practice bad sportsmanship. I give credit where credit is due. 4 out of the 5 wins that Danny Dimes has had is against Washington. The defense has to do better, man. I mean, look, the defense isn't playing against Aaron Rodgers. Okay, they're not playing against Russell Wilson, or, I mean, I'll even give it to Kyler Murray. Like, you're not playing against, you're playing against Daniel Jones. And look, and I was big on Daniel Jones coming out of college. I was screaming Daniel Jones for a while. So he has good numbers at Duke. All right, but that's here nor there. He's in the league now, so he makes a lot of plays, boneheaded plays that actually puts the Giants in position to lose most of the time. So he has to get better with that. Now, when it comes to our defense, I mean, our defense is just atrocious, man. Like, we have some good, solid players that are young and that can do some great things. Okay, we know we have Montez Sweat, we have Deron Payne, Chase Young. You know, we got Kendall Fuller. You know, even Cameron Curl. I like Cameron Curl. He's young. We have Landon Collins, so we have some young players that can do some Jimmy Moreland. I mean, but at the same time, that defense has to step up, man. You can't let Daniel Jones do the things that he's doing, and he's not even. I mean, he's not even a top 10 quarterback. So at the end of the day, look, they came in, they won. You know, I was a little bit on the high horse last week. I thought they was going to come. I thought they was going to come into Washington and they was going to stink it up. But I mean, yo, it was a victory, 23-20. So, hey, I mean, y'all won. Y'all won.
I'm surprised, Quan, at how easy you're going now. So this is what I'm going to do now. Brandon, your team won, man. Listen, you could take the easy route like Quan did, because Quan, he went a little softer than I thought he would, or you could take this time front and center to talk your shit, man. It's up to you, man. It's your show right now. Your team won. What you got?
I'll try to humor you, Mike, because you trying to set us up to duke this out.
Y'all duke it out any other time.
We do, because he usually says something ridiculous like RG3 is the best quarterback you've ever seen. No, he's not. He's not. Like, he never was. He'll never will be. Like, so I mean, but there's really not much to say other than, I mean, my prediction was correct. I told you, see you in 2 weeks when we get our second win of the season.
You did say that.
I did say that, and that came to pass. Now, I will say this: I'll give Washington's defense a lot more credit than what Quan is doing right now. He's just upset that we're just a better football team, and I understand that. But I actually think that defense is good. I mean, they turned the ball over 5 times, so it's not, you know. I mean, the defense, they play well against Daddy Dobbs, but I mean, he's not whack. I mean, he's not Kyler Murray. He's not, okay, but he's still mobile. I mean, I thought that was evident didn't he have like a 70-yard run against y'all? I mean, hey, he gets low. I mean, you guys got a decent defense, but you're just not a good team. I mean, you guys haven't been for a long time. We are a better team. Our record's not better, but we are a better team. Period.
Okay, are you done?
Go ahead. Say something ridiculous.
No, everything I'm saying is factual, because you guys, you're at the bottom of the barrel as well. So, I mean, yeah, you may have done your thing against us, but when it comes to any other team, you guys suck. Like, y'all don't do anything. Like,
what do you mean? Have you seen? We've lost like all of our games by like a combined 10 points.
Yeah, and because of Daniel Jones throwing interceptions, just like we've all told you that. I mean, there's nothing. You're sitting up. You know what it is? Like, you said something last week that made sense. It's like, well, sometimes Washington fans, we sit up here and we pass judgment on other teams and what they need to do, but we don't look at ourselves. So now I'm just looking at myself. I'm just looking at our team, what we need to do, but you're not doing that with the Giants. Like, you guys, like when you guys play against Philly tomorrow, Daniel Jones is going to. We all know he's going to throw at least 4 interceptions. The only person
4 interceptions.
Yeah, the only person that's going to play good on that.
We already played the Eagles this year, and we actually were winning, and we gave up the game at the end.
But you guys lost. So I mean, regardless, great stats. Okay, Daniel Jones ran for an 80-yard touch. Okay, great. But a W is a W and an L is an L. So you guys still at the bottom of the barrel. You guys still going to have the top 3 pick, like we're going to have the top pick. So,
so what you going to say when we win the division? Because right now, out of all the teams, I mean, well, Philly's got a 2-game win streak. But after we beat them tomorrow, we will officially be the hottest team in the NFC East. Which we on our way. We on our way to lock up the division. What you gonna say then?
Okay, but I talk nonsense though, right? This is what I'm saying. So when I say things, I talk nonsense. But
how's
you guys,
the leader in the NFC East has 3 wins. How is this nonsense? We'll have 3 wins tomorrow.
Okay, all right, okay. So what you're saying is a nonsense, though, right? Winning the East, really?
No,
the only team
the East is not nonsense.
The only team I see winning the East right now is Philly. I mean, that's
why.
Why? Because they have better plays than anybody in the East right now.
Yeah,
the only player that's playing.
I don't even know if Eagles fans will agree with you on that.
Well, I know Giants
right now they're not happy with Wentz because you want to talk about turnovers. Wentz has turned the ball over more than Daniel Jones has this year. How about that? Did you look up that stat?
Yeah, but no, I haven't.
Okay, so maybe Carson Wentz has 4 interceptions tomorrow. How about that?
But guess what? Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones is.
Okay, well, there's some people in Philadelphia who might disagree with you.
They actually have 2 quarterbacks that's better than Daniel Jones right now.
Do they?
They do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. How many better quarterbacks does Washington have?
None.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you props on one more player, McLaurin. I'll give you props on McLaurin.
I told you about Terry McLaurin. I've been told you about it. So look, we have some things to work on. Offensive wise, we got McLaurin. Antonio Gibson's a baller.
So your defense has to step up, but your offense, who turned the ball over 5 times, is good to go.
Yeah, I didn't say that. I just said we had to step up. I just said that. Okay. I just said that we only have 2 players on offense that are guaranteed, and that's Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin. Now wait, and
guaranteed to do what?
And Cam Sims, I think he's good. He's emerging, which he should have been emerging the past 4 years, but that's another boneheaded play that Washington's front office does, where I don't even understand why it's taken him this long to even get some opportunities to play. But that's a whole nother story. But I mean, we got a lot of work to do. Just like the Giants have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we do.
The East is whack. I mean, at the end of the day, only team I really see when I see Philly winning. I don't really see. I mean, the Cowboys. No, I don't see us doing anything. Daniel Jones, he's gonna throw picks until the season's over with. So I mean, you don't have Saquon. The best player you have on that team is Blake Martinez. I'll give you that. But other than that, I mean, your whole team is irrelevant.
Okay. Things change.
So, Quan, I do have a question for you. With your quarterback situation, do you guys go back to Dwayne Haskins, or is that?
No, I think you go back to Dwayne Haskins.
Over?
I think you go back to him. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't really have a choice.
Yes, you do. Start Alex Smith. He actually didn't play half bad.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play half bad, but I mean, you got Dwayne Haskins. You have a young quarterback. You got Dwayne Haskins. You have to let him grow. And even if he isn't your future, I mean, this is what you have. Now, granted, you inherited that. Ron Rivera inherited that quarterback. But this is what you have so far. You wanted Kyle Allen, he's out. I mean, Alex Smith, I'm looking at it in the sense of his health. I just don't want him getting hurt again. I mean, I think he's played out his years. I think he's done some great things NFL wise, but I think you need to go ahead and put Dwayne Haskins in and just let him see what he does. All right. So if you feel as if that he's not that quarterback that you want, ride the rest of the season out with him and go get another quarterback in the draft, or you use free agency and you get you a quarterback, someone that you see fit. But I don't really see the point in pushing or like pressuring Alex. I'm not saying they're pressuring him, but like throwing him in there. I don't see it. Now, if Dwayne Haskins gets hurt, okay, well then your last option is, you go ahead and throw Alex Smith in there. And I understand he can make the reads. I understand, he understands the system, but how are you going to let Dwayne Haskins grow or become a quarterback if you don't play him and if you don't put him in that system? Now, early in the season, yeah, he has some good things that he did. He has some not so good things that he did. A game against Baltimore and a game against the Browns, he stunk it up. They decided to make that change. Ron Rivera pretty much discussed it, says, hey, look, it's not right for all 53 of those other players that work hard, that come out there every single day, to wait for one player to pretty much make that progression and make that leap. Okay, fine, that's understandable.
Is that fair to say to a second-year player who at that time before he was benched was in his 11th start.
Is it fair?
Yeah, like he was. So he got benched in week 3 or 4?
He got benched after the Ravens game,
and he didn't really play bad that game.
Yeah.
Well,
but the thing about it is he may not have played bad, but is there certain things that you see that you want to have in a young quarterback?
Right. But my whole point is like some of these other young quarterbacks are getting that chance to grow within the game at that time and make those mistakes at the same time.
Yeah.
He did not get that, which I don't think is fair. He's had 2 coaches in his 2 years. He's had 11 starts or whatever the hell it may be. You can't tell me that 11 games or 11 starts is enough to say whether this is your quarterback of the future or not. When these other quarterbacks get that time, that leeway to prove, some of these other quarterbacks get 2, 3, 4 years to prove that. So
I don't want Haskins to play. And this is me speaking as a person who wanted to draft Haskins over Daniel Jones at the time. But I knew once he got drafted by Washington, they were going to ruin him. I mean, they've ruined every other quarterback that they've had. But that was a shot. With Haskins, what people aren't bringing into account here when they're talking about Haskins, when they're talking about Daniel Jones, is that neither of these quarterbacks have really had an offseason or training, going into training camp as the starting quarterback. Their rookie years, they were, Daniel Jones was behind Eli Manning. So Eli Manning's getting those starter reps, or the majority of them, in that offseason. Same thing with Dwayne Haskins, whoever was in front of him. Then you come into this season with COVID, and they still haven't, even though they were coming in as the starting quarterbacks, there still wasn't a real offseason, where they got to, work with their guys and really establish that. Now, I think that has something to do with the way these two are playing. Like Daniel Jones, he's a starter, but yeah, he does turn the ball. He does turn the ball over a lot. And Dwayne Haskins was making some mistakes that I think could have been ironed out with a regular offseason and preseason. And then he starts the season, and you get all those little kinks out. You give him extra time to study and figure that shit out. So I don't think they're gonna. I don't think Haskins throwing him in there at this point of the year. I don't know if he shows them, even if he doesn't play bad. Like Mike said, he didn't play that bad versus the Ravens. If he plays at that type of level, they're still gonna be like, yo, we need to get somebody else in here. And it's gonna hurt his chances, I think, getting on with another team. I'd rather him not play. They play Alex Smith. He just continues to develop himself in every other way possible, and then demand a trade at the beginning of next season. Because it's like, look, y'all not gonna play me, or you gonna ruin me. I need to get the hell out of here.
So here's the thing, and I agree with what you're saying, right? And they're both okay. So Daniel Jones and Dwayne Haskins. When you look at the quarterback play, right? For one, like you said, Dwayne Haskins never really got a chance to have that opportunity to kind of get his feet wet. All right. Daniel Jones, the same fashion, but you kind of knew that Eli was on his way out. And so you kind of knew that Daniel Jones was going to be that guy for at least 2 to 3 years. David Gettleman, that was his guy. So he pretty much gave him the okay to draft him. And so you knew that he was going to kind of take his time with him. Mm-hmm. Wayne Haskins was a lot different. As soon as he got drafted, the jury was out on him anyway. And just like, you said, Mike, he never really got that time. He never really got a chance to understand.
Why was the jury out on him, though? Because you take a quarterback as high as the Skins took him. Where did they draft him at?
17.
Well, I'm sorry, 17. I thought it was 15. I thought it was 15.
Oh, 15. It might have been 15.
Okay, so he was a top 20 pick, right? You take a quarterback that high because he is supposed to be your guy at one point or another. So again, why was the jury out on him and it wasn't out on Daniel Jones? Yeah, You drafted a quarterback in the first round because you needed a quarterback at that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Giants drafted a quarterback at that time because they knew it was the end of the road for Eli and they needed his replacement.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference I see in the two situations, because they're very similar, right? They both, if I'm not mistaken, have had two coaches already, right? Daniel Jones, they both, fairly new to starting and stuff like that. The only difference I see is you don't hear them talking about Daniel Jones being benched, or he didn't have that over his head like Dwayne Haskins had that over his head. And
The difference is one.
let
The
me address-
difference is one is black, one's white, and that means one's gonna have a longer leash than the other. That's the reason.
Okay.
Mic drop. It's but also Mike, and this goes to what we've been teasing our Washington fans for years, is that they have so much turmoil within the organization. If you watch a New York Giants press conference, like you see them they ask Joe Judge, are you thinking about sitting Daniel or whatever? Do you think about his replacement? He's like, no other words is said is used to answer that question. Right. No. You bring it over to Washington, and I think Ron Rivera is probably one of the more, one of the better coaches that they've brought in recent years, in my opinion. But, in the past, you bring it into Washington, and like you said, something leaks out. So there's going to be turmoil. It's going to be, we should play this player, da-da-da-da. I think it's a different environment. And as far as being under the gun, one thing I do agree with what Alice said in general, that black quarterbacks have shorter leashes. But I will say this: I don't know. I think the situation that they were both brought in was kind of similar, because remember when Gruden drafted Haskins, he didn't want to play his ass either. First of all,
he didn't draft.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference. Gruden didn't want him.
Exactly. He never drafted him.
He didn't want him, but he didn't want him to play either. So it wasn't we're gonna draft Haskins and we're gonna throw him out there. It was, first of all, I don't want this dude, but if we're gonna draft him, he's gonna sit and he's going to learn. And it's the same thing with the Giants. When they drafted Daniel Jones, everybody, head coach, upper management, everybody said, we hope that he does not play this year.
So yeah. Well, look, even the situation with Ron, I don't even knock Rivera for handling the situation. He handled it the way he handled it. Look, I get it, like, we drafted him 15th. We drafted him last year. Now, for one, that is true. He's a black quarterback versus Daniel Jones being a white quarterback in different markets. So it's the leash is going to be lenient towards Daniel Jones than it's going to be towards Dwayne Haskins. So he has that hanging over his head. Then also, granted, too, he still had Alex Smith on the books. So that's something.
Yeah, but Alex Smith.
Just hear me out. So that's somewhat. Just hold on. He's making $71 million.
Yeah, but Quan, you making excuses.
Just hold on. Just hear me out. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you what the facts are. So you still have him on the books. Okay. Mm-hmm. Third of all, look, we all know how Ron Rivera is as a coach. All right. He came in with a whole different culture, a whole new different attitude. He didn't draft Dwayne Haskins. Now, granted, no, hold on. He didn't draft him. Now, he gave him the opportunity, which that does play an effect. The COVID shit does play an effect because he wasn't really able to go out there and have the chemistry with the players. All right, understandable. So, like I said, that also plays a part of the leash. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a lot being thrown into that. At the same time, we all know how Rivera plays. So, like, you're going to get your opportunity. You worked hard thus far, whatever we've had, and you've done everything thus far for what you need to do to become the starter. So he gave him the keys. All right. Now, the situation comes about. He's playing somewhat good, but he's not playing good. So those 2-3 games, he wasn't making those particular throws that he needed to make. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't making those checkdowns. And I'm not saying that, everything was on Dwayne Haskins. But at the same time, like, certain things like that in those particular games, there's quarterbacks that are making those throws. Like, Kyler Murray's making those throws in his second year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand he started and everything, but it's like, And we all know, you only get 3 or 4 years to really show.
Kyler Murray started from day one, and he's had the same coach, same system from day one.
Yeah.
You talking about Dwayne Haskins, who has started 13 games, if Mike, that, and had 2 coaches.
I get that
already.
I get that. But Mike, if you can't make a 5-yard out.
Yo, I've watched the game. I watched the Skins game. I watched plenty of the games when he played, and there's plenty of times that I've texted in our thread to say, yo, that was a pro throw by Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
I've also texted to say that was a shitty throw by Dwayne Haskins. But you can say that about all of these young quarterbacks. My point is no knock on Daniel Jones. It's not his fault. But the point that Alex is making is there's a difference in how much leeway one has gotten and the other has gotten. And part of it is to do with his skin color. And part of it is also to do with the organization itself. It has been this way. We have tried to tell you, Quan, and you thought we were just digging on you. But the way they handled the RG situation in drafting RG number 2 overall and then drafting Kirk Cousins in the 4th round.
That was so dysfunctional, yo.
It was. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just telling you.
So my point is Alex. Hold on. I'm responding to what you said. With Alex Smith, what? Alex Smith has a half a leg, and they didn't go to Alex Smith when they benched him. They went to Kyle Allen, a dude that they just brought in with Riverboat Ron.
Yeah.
So that tells me right there they didn't feel confident in it.
But why did they bring him in? So what's the main reason why they brought Kyle Allen?
Because he didn't want Haskins. So I'm not giving. That's
not the number one reason why they brought him in. They brought him because he knew the system.
Okay, and that's true. But you also gave up a 4th or 5th round pick for Kyle Allen.
Yeah, but they brought him in. That's
significant.
Right. I got you. He does know the system, but you don't give up a 4th or 5th round pick for a player who ain't did shit in this league, who was a career backup. I understand he knows your system. I understand that he knows that, but you spend that type of capital on him because you have planned to play him. And that's why they went right to him when they benched Haskins.
Okay.
They did not. I'm not giving Riverboat Ron a pass on this when he handled this shit shitty. And I do think it was pressure from.
How did he handle the shitty?
He gave him 4 weeks, Quan.
All he did was get a backup plan. What you mean?
Quan, I'm saying how he benched him. He gave him 4 weeks, and in one of those weeks he had a win.
Mike.
So he had one win.
Mike, he was playing shitty.
So then from all right, so
like if you can't make an out on a 7-yard play, what are you talking about?
Quan,
I don't care who you have.
He can make those throws. But you just said.
Quan, you all right, brother?
Listen to me.
He needs to change his tag. This is Quan versus Mike. This is not Quan versus Brandon.
But Quan, you just said that they brought in a play. You just said that they brought in Kyle Allen because he knows the system.
Okay.
Yet Dwayne Haskins doesn't get a chance to know the system. So maybe he didn't make that throw because he don't know. He's still learning the fucking system. Mike, you also said that because of COVID, they didn't get a full offseason.
I just have a question. So you have to know the system to throw a 7-yard out?
Yo, he can make that throw. I've seen him. I've personally seen him make the throw. And I've heard you say he can make the throw.
I just want to ask the question.
I've heard you say he can make the throw.
Do you have to make a 7-yard out on a touchdown that your wide receiver could literally catch it with his own hands, but because you threw it 5 yards out, you have to know the system to that? You've been playing football since you
in his one win, right? He was 17 to 31, 178, 1 touchdown. Carson Wentz, the great Carson Wentz, was 24 for 42. 272 touchdowns and a pick. To me, Haskins outplayed him in that game. But you can't. So then if you say now, those are young player numbers, right? Because yes, he was 17 to 31. Okay, that ain't the greatest, but he was 171 in a touchdown. He didn't turn the ball over. He won the game. So you can't. Are you counting that game against him? Are you counting the win against him?
No,
Or you saying he played shitty?
I'm talking about the 2 games that he played. I'm talking about the Browns. That's the game I'm talking about.
Okay, hold on. Let me
very average numbers.
Let me do this. Let me do this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Those are
against the Cardinals in the great Kyler Murray, like you said, he was 19 of 33, 223 and a touchdown. No turnovers. They lost that game though. Kyler Murray, 26 of 38, 286, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Mm-hmm. He didn't play that.
What was the score of that game?
30 to 15.
15.
Yeah, see, Dwayne Haskins might have put up some decent numbers, but that could have, a lot of that could have came late in the game. And if you lose the game by 2 scores, that I think that was a game where Arizona controlled much of it.
The game,
and Washington was in a position where they had to get aggressive down the field, and you just at this point maybe Haskins doesn't know. He doesn't have the experience to where you want him to just, let the leash go and just have him out there firing, because he's going to turn the ball over. He's going to make, errant throws. Not to say that he's not talented enough physically to play the position, but yeah, like he just needs some time. I don't know, Mike. I don't know. Those numbers sound like they sound inflated at best, to be honest with you.
Okay. My point is, right, with his numbers, mm-hmm. The team isn't good, right? So yes. You're not gonna put all of that on this young kid. That's what I'm saying. Like his numbers, of course, the numbers can be inflated because they playing from behind, right? But the game that they won, he brought them back to winning that game. Okay. So those numbers aren't inflated. That was the Philly game. Okay. I watched the game against the Ravens. Now the Ravens are a much better team. The Ravens should have blew their ass out, in my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. The Ravens controlled the game from the jump, as you could say, right? Even though going into halftime it was 21-10. So it wasn't like, okay, the game was over, but all right, we knew the game was over. But he was 32 of 45 with 314 yards, no touchdowns, and he didn't turn the ball over. My whole point is you don't have and even with being inflated and call it what you want, Quan's question is if he can make these throws. And I think that there's plenty of times in watching him play in the 4 weeks that he started that he has made throws that I said to him, that I said to Quan, and I said on our thread that, that was a pro throw.
Okay.
I watched enough football to know what a pro throw is, and I know that he has some errant throws too. So I'm not going to say he deserved to be benched because he can't make some of the throws. I'm not going to say that. Okay. I think that's bullshit. They benched him for other reasons because he wasn't Ron's guy.
Okay.
That's number one. Mm-hmm. And also, I think that part of it came from upper management. Like, we got to get this kid in there. I mean, he got to be the starter. But listen, if he ain't doing nothing, you got to get him out of there.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But he's not the time when we need to win the games and we need the tempo. He's not doing it. It's late in the games when it's like, we're trailing.
That's not his fault though. You trailing. I'll continue.
Okay. I get what you're saying, man. We'll agree to disagree on that. But I'm saying,
you have not won a game since he's been benched. So my whole point is
we beat the Cowboys.
Did you beat the Cowboys?
We beat the Cowboys.
You did beat the Cowboys. I'm sorry. You did. You have won. You have a win since he's been out of there.
Tempo and so like that's what I'm saying.
Like other than that, Quan, you've been playing behind every other game.
Okay, so Brandon, let me ask you a question. When we played you with Kyle Allen, did you know it was a different tempo when we played against Kyle Allen from the beginning of the game to the end of the game?
I'll say this. I'll be, because I know where you're going with this. In my opinion, in watching Washington this year, I thought outside of that first game against the Rams, where they just absolutely dismantled y'all, but the way he played against the Giants, and he did turn it over a couple of times, there was a difference. There was a difference in tempo and confidence in Washington's ability to move the ball downfield. I felt, but it was early.
Why?
It was early.
Why though? To Quan's point, because he knew the system.
But that's all I'm saying. Like, but Dwayne has Mike.
But
like,
Kyle Allen was the starter for Rivera in Carolinas. So it made sense. It made sense to bring in a guy. You're not sure about Alex Smith. You know, like you said, he's got one leg. We don't even know if it works yet. You've got Dwayne Haskins, who, you know, hey, is he talented? Is he physically talented enough? Yes. Is he mentally ready to execute this game plan with pressure on him in a game situation? Most of it, yes. But obviously, there's some parts of the game plan where he's just not there yet, and it's costing us games. It could be 10% of the playbook. It could be 5% of the playbook. But the bottom line is it's costing us games. I have to bring in somebody.
It's costing them games. And that's the only thing he's saying. Like, yo, we can't wait. And I get what you're saying, Mike. It just isn't all his fault. But, yo, it's 40, 50 other players on that team that work their asses off. Hold on. I'm saying it's 40, 50 other players that work their asses off that put them in that okay positions, and he just can't wait on one person, yo. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so whose job is it to wait on this one person? That's my point. You're proving my point because it's very rare that you get a quarterback that's a young quarterback that comes in off the gate and he's just lights out. You like Joe Burrows. You like Joe Burrows, right? Mm-hmm. And all you like about Joe Burrows, what you're going off of Joe Burrows is because his numbers. He has good numbers right now. But what does his record say? And he makes bonehead mistakes. Look what he did against the Ravens. Look how the Ravens made him look. But he's afforded the chance to grow. Dwayne Haskins did not get that chance. And you keep saying that Ron can't wait on one player.
No, he can't. Well one quarterback, Mike. I'm sorry. That's it. I'm sorry.
So are the Cardinals waiting on Kyler Murray? Are the Bengals
waiting on Joe Burrow?
Are the Bengals waiting on Joe Burrow?
I'm gonna tell you why they are. Because he's a number one pick compared to a 15 pick.
Okay,
that's a big difference, and that's a big difference in millions of dollars. That's a big difference in a franchise quarterback. You're picking him number one. So if you're going to pick him number one, you're going to have to ride it out, and you're going to have to wait to see what time. The same thing they did with Jameis Winston. It was the same thing. But guarantee you, if he would have been a top 15, 20 pick, yo, they would have been like, yo, rip it up. He's not the quarterback we need. So that's just one thing.
So are the Jets waiting on Sam Darnold? Or are they going to take Lawrence when he come out?
You know what? That's a really good question. And at the same time, I think they're going to take Lawrence.
Okay, so this is all of that where they was drafted at. That shit don't mean
it does.
That don't mean nothing. If you take a quarterback in the first round, that quarterback is supposed to be your guy. But if you want to, you talking about so what about then let's look at Lamar Jackson. Okay. He got drafted the last pick of the first round.
Yeah,
and he is expected to be the guy.
Yeah, but that's because for one, no other teams except for the Ravens believed in him, and then for two, but when other teams started seeing this nigga's running a 4.2 and he was lighting motherfuckers up, then it was a whole different story. Then
but every other team had the option to take him. They didn't. You saying because Burrows went number one, that Burrows is afforded that leash or that chance to mess up. Dwayne Haskins going 15th, he doesn't have that chance to mess up. Yeah. I'm saying Lamar went later than that.
Yeah. Okay. I give you that. But
my point is the expectations are the same when you get drafted in the first round. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a little bit more on you because you're the number one pick. All eyes are on you. But what I'm saying is Joe Burrows and those cats are afforded the time to wait. So who was supposed to wait on Dwayne Haskins is what I'm asking. Because you said that Ron can't wait on him.
Okay, so you're asking me who is supposed to wait on Dwayne Haskins?
You said Ron said you saying that Ron benched him because Ron couldn't wait on him on one player.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what he said.
But you waiting, you're constantly waiting on players to develop all the time, and that's the thing, especially at the quarterback position. Also, going along with what y'all said earlier, without having a full off season,
right? So
you have to wait for him to. You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice at that point. To me, it even pushes it back even further of how long you should wait for him to develop because of what happened with COVID.
Okay. All right. So and I hear what you're saying from that perspective. Okay. Now, just saying hearing me out from this perspective, he came in and inherited Dwayne Haskins. He didn't draft Dwayne Haskins. So He didn't have the film that he had on Dwayne Haskins. Now, granted, in college, Dwayne Haskins only started 11 he started one season pretty much. All right. So he never really had the film on Dwayne Haskins from the get-go. Okay.
He got the film. He could get the film for him.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, he can get the film. All right.
It's the NFL. If the NFL wanted film on us, they could get it.
Okay. But what I'm saying is that he inherited him. Right?
Yes, he did.
All right.
And so I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that.
So that wasn't his guy.
So Kyle Allen was his guy, though, Quan?
Obviously, if he went and got him from Carolina.
Yeah. At that time he was.
Okay, so then hear me out. So then this is what I'm saying. So Riverboat felt like Kyle Allen was better than he'd put. So you're saying that Ron would put the franchise or the keys to the franchise in the hands of Kyle Allen?
No.
That's what I'm saying. So then
I haven't been saying that.
That's what I'm saying. You said, but I understand that he was his guy only from a sense of because he drafted him in Carolina. But would you rather take those reps from Dwayne Haskins, who's a first round draft pick, who's played in 13 games? Would you rather take those from him and give him to Kyle Allen, who's at best going to be a backup in this league? When he's not making. My whole point is Kyle Allen didn't make you any better.
Okay,
that's my point.
Long term, no.
So that's my point.
Short term, it gave a blanket and it gave a band-aid. Now, the reason why to that is because, like I said, he knows a little bit more about Kyle Allen. Okay, he coached him. He was with him in Carolina.
Right.
He somewhat knows the system. He knows how he plays. He knows how he throws the ball, whatever. He knows him as a particular quarterback. So, not saying that he's going to be the guy from the long term as far as starting, but as of right now, me coming in, me signing this contract, knowing that I got 5 years, year one, I'm going to go. He's going in. Okay, yeah, I'm going to give him the keys to be the starter. I'm going to give him the opportunity. But if something happens, I got this guy that I know what he's capable of. That's the only thing I was saying what Ron did, and that's what I'm saying. I don't.
Do you agree with Ron? You agree with Ron benching him? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, because he was playing like shit.
All right, that's where we're going to disagree on, because it's one thing to hand somebody the keys to a leased vehicle and say, "Hey, bro, I'm giving you this car, but it got to go back," or somebody handing you the keys to a vehicle and say, "Yo, here's your car, this is yours." So they went into Dwayne Haskins went into this year starting knowing that he had that on his back, because the rumors of him being benched started coming out in week 2. After he just won a game, then the next week he lost, and then that's when the rumors started coming out that they're talking to him, if he doesn't get any better in these next couple of weeks, he's going to be benched. I just don't think it's fair from a standpoint of giving a player of his caliber, his talent, 4 weeks, one of which he won, in a new system that he didn't have an offseason, to then say, you got to show me something or I got to bench you, for a player that's going to be a backup in this system that he didn't make you any better. You got one win out of him as well. So to me, I feel like you're wasting the growth of this guy. I hope they don't play him. I hope that they don't play him so that he can go somewhere else. But if he was a white kid, then he would still be playing.
Look, I love
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, you're right. So I'm saying, I don't agree with any of that. I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. Like, I totally agree. I totally agree with what y'all saying. But I'm just saying, though, you gotta stop throwing picks to BJ Goodson.
This is what these young quarterbacks do, bro.
They throw interception.
You ride with them through their growing pains, because at the end of the tunnel is when you will capitalize and get everything for what's happened. And he didn't get that chance, is all I'm saying. So whatever. I don't listen. I don't agree with how that went. I think it was wrong, and whatever. We're not gonna agree on this. So let's move on to OTR Pick'em, and let's
go Giants.
OTR Pick'em, and let's spitball this, please. Let's go fast with these. Okay, week one. I mean, not week one. Game one. Houston traveling to Cleveland, 1 p.m. kickoff. Who you got, Quan?
I got Cleveland 21, Houston 14.
What about you, B?
I got Cleveland 30-23.
And I got Houston 27-24.
Quan, you said Cleveland or Houston? Oh, my bad. I was trying to pull up the
Cleveland.
spreadsheet. Cleveland. Okay. All right.
The next game, we got Washington traveling to Detroit to face the Lions, 1 p.m. kickoff. Who you got, Quan?
Washington 10, Detroit 21. Gosh, man.
Who you got, Brandon?
Yeah.
I actually picked Washington to win this game, to be honest with you.
Wow. Okay.
I picked Washington 23-20.
I got Detroit 20-17.
Yeah, I know you had Detroit 21-17.
Yeah, I've only picked Washington once or twice in my life, and they've let me down both times. I can't do it.
I expect them to, but I'm trying to get some separation here.
Yeah, you see what I deal with.
Next game, we got Green Bay. We got Jacksonville traveling to Green Bay, 1 p.m. kickoff. Who you got, Quan?
Hold up. Oh, we talking about the Ville?
Yeah.
Hold up. I got the Ville losing 17-28. Packer.
What about you, B?
I got Green Bay 31-16.
I have Green Bay 28-20. Next up, we got Philly traveling to New York to face the Giants, 1 p.m. kickoff. Who you got, Quan?
We already know who we got.
Yeah, I got Philly 22, Giants 10.
What about you, B?
I got the Giants 24-20.
I have Philly 24-21.
Oh, both of y'all.
Next up, we have Tampa Tom and the boys traveling to Carolina to face the Panthers, 1 p.m. kickoff. Who you got, Quan?
I know I had them. Hold up. Wait. I got the Panthers. I got Panthers 17, Bucks 14.
What about you, B?
Tampa Bay 33-21.
I have Tampa 27-21. Next up, we have Denver traveling to Vegas, 4:00 p.m. Kick off the first 4:00 game of the day. Who you got, Quan?
Vegas 21, Broncos 9.
Okay, who you got, B?
I got Vegas as well, 30-20.
Yeah, I have Vegas 28-20 over the Broncos. Next up, we got the Chargers traveling to Miami to face Tua in the boys 4:00 kickoff. Who you got, Quan?
I don't want y'all to be upset because I know you guys love Tua so much, but I got the Chargers winning 21-17 Dolphins.
All right, who you got, B?
I got Miami. I've betted against them enough this year. 27-23.
Yeah, I'm going Miami 28-24. But I do.
They're doing a
do
hell of
like
a coaching job down there.
Yeah, I do like the Chargers though.
Y'all from Yams, man. Oh, my bad.
We got Buffalo traveling to Arizona, 4:00 kickoff. The way I say Arizona, I don't want to go to Arizona. Who you got, Quad?
I got the Bills 21, Cardinals 17.
What about you, B?
I didn't want to go to Arizona, Martin. I got Arizona 31-29.
I got Buffalo 27-24. Next up, we got Seattle traveling to Los Angeles to face the Rams, 4:25 kickoff. Who you got, Quan?
Oh, I got the Rams 24. I'm sorry, I got the Rams 23, Hawks 21.
What about you, B?
I got Seahawks 30-27. Close game. I couldn't decide.
We got the same score. I got the Seahawks 30-27.
Y'all see that hit Russell Wilson took last week? Took 3 years off his life in the NFL, dog.
Russ mad tough though. Next up, we got the 49ers traveling to New Orleans,
Nolans.
to face the Saints. 4:25 kickoff. Who you got, Quan?
I got the Nolan boys winning 28 against them Niners 17.
What about you, B?
Yeah, I got the Saints 30-20.
I also have the Saints 26-20. Cincinnati, Joe Burrows and the boys traveling short travel to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers. Who you got, B? I mean, who you got, Quan?
Steelers 21, Bengals 14.
What about you, B?
Steelers 31-17.
I also have the Steelers 27-17. Next up, 8:00 game. Baltimore traveling to New England to face them Patriots. Who you got, Quan?
I got the Ravens 23, Patriots 17.
What about you, B?
Ravens 27-18.
I have the Ravens 28-17. And then the Monday night game, it's the Vikings traveling to Chi-Town. 8:15 kickoff. Who you got, Quan?
I got Chi-Town winning 23 against them Vikings 21.
What about you, B?
I picked Minnesota to win this game. Reluctantly, but I picked Minnesota 24-19.
Yeah, I got Minnesota 24-21. I wasn't really feeling that game either, but we'll see. Dalvin Cook is balling, so we'll see how that goes. And that's your OTR pick'em, the almost world famous OTR pick'em.
Sure.
I think that's the show, man. I said we went a little off the cuff with it was supposed to be Quan versus Brandon, then it turned into Quan versus Mike.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Dwayne Haskins. I didn't realize that I had Dwayne's back like that, but
yeah, I didn't know either.
I think they did the boy wrong. They did the boy wrong. I don't care what nobody says.
Well, we knew that was going to happen. I told you that was.
We did. I tell Quan this all the time. If the Skins aren't careful, they're going to ruin McLaren as well. And I think they got a player, a baller in him. So
this is why it turns into Quan versus Mike.
I'm just saying if they think Kyle Allen is the answer to push McLaren and keep him to being a top-notch player, they're sorely mistaken.
Nah. I think they get a quarterback this year.
All right, so that's the show, fellas. Man, any words in closing before we go?
No.
Everybody says no.
No, great sport. It's always great to chop it up with the three of the co-hosts. As y'all can tell, we're very passionate about our sports. We'll give it to y'all from all different angles, all different sides, whether if it's basketball, football, hockey, tennis, boxing, baseball. We're here to give y'all everything that you guys need. So
there's a good boxing match on tonight, Bud Crawford versus Kell Brooks. So see how that goes. But as always, follow Crossover Media on Twitter and Instagram at Crossover365. Follow us, the Off the Record guys, at OTR_pod on Twitter and on Instagram and Facebook OTR_podcast. And then that's where you can find our individual tags. We do follow back. We do chop it up with you, so give us a follow. And that's it, I think. That's all the shout-outs, I think. Shout out to y'all for tuning in, listening. Another 2-hour show. We're working on that, man. We're working on that. But we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Signing out as always. Oh, no, I forgot to mention one thing.
Oh, Lord.
Check us out. Check out the regular podcast, Off the Record Podcast, on all your podcast streaming platforms. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Sportscaster and other places. We're there. We got content there. Check us out. Other than that, we out, man. We love y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.